Super Rugby round number 4, folks. The teams are out. Let's go through the fixtures for this weekend and some of the stats, players to look out for, the changes, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on which game you think might be the best one this week. Starting off on Friday with the Chiefs hosting Moana, Pasifika. The Chiefs having had a bit of a, I don't want to call it a wake-up call, but they were flying high after 2 rounds. Chance to put some pain on the Crusaders, but it was the Chiefs who got 40 points put on them last week. They'll be looking to absolutely unleash some frustration. And with Moana Pasifika coming to town, I think this one is predicted to be the most lopsided of the games this week. Helped by the fact that the Chiefs have got the return of Cortez Ratima and D-Mac, who've both been on paternity leave for a few weeks. And you got Samasona Tokiaho scoring 4 tries thus far. The Chiefs' maul is a bit of a weapon, so a couple of All Blacks to pull the backline strings and a big forward pack to potentially score some close-range tries. The Chiefs are going to be tough. Vai is captain this week with Jacobson out injured. Wallace Satiti is likewise out injured, so you got Simon Parker at number 8 this week. And for Moana, there's a veteran at 9. Familiar to Chiefs fans, Augie Pulu is there at number 9 after missing the first few rounds with injuries. So you got a veteran back there. They've got Tavita Latu up from the bench in the midfield with an injury to Lalamilo, with concussion, I should say, rather than injury. And then Garden Bishop is there at number 10 ahead of Pellegrini. So it's a bit of a shift, hoping for something else in terms of their back line. But goodness me, big time underdogs are Moana, having been beaten last week at home by the Force, heading down, not that far from Pukekohe really, but down to Chiefs country. 28 points, says the algorithm. 28 points, says the bookies. So, yeah, predicted to be a bit of a lopsided one on Friday night. And then Waratahs Hurricanes. That one is interesting because Waratahs are thus far undefeated. Remember, they've only played 2 games because they've had the bye last week, so they're coming off the bye up against the Canes, who are having to make their way back from Fiji, where it was pretty wet in Lautoka, and they suffered their first defeat of the season. They are 1-1. They've also had a bye. I feel like that gives a little bit of an advantage to the Tars because of the travel factor and the bye factor, but the Canes, if there's slightly better weather, you would think will be able to unleash their backline a bit better than they did. The Tars are bolstered by the return of Folau Fainga'a. He is there as their hooker this week. And Andrew Callaway, another Wallaby, he comes back into the side at fullback, having missed out on the Tars' first 2 games. Max Jorgensen has been absolutely worth the price of admission, though, for the Tars thus far this season. 4 tries in 2 games and some pretty fleet footwork. Yeah, the Tars, thus far, they haven't played, the top teams just yet, but they've been a sexy team to watch. For the Canes, Whing'Anganofo has been likewise as exciting. So you got 2 really exciting left wingers. He's right up there in the clean breaks, and he scored 3 tries. So you could get some fun, exciting rugby if the weather behaves in Sydney. And then Tosi, the big unit of a tight head, gets his first game of the season for the Canes. And Karifi is back too. So you got some good news for the Canes, barring the Brett Cameron one from a couple of weeks ago where his season is already done. Yeah, you got some guys returning back from injury. Still no sign of Ruben Love just yet, but yeah, Canes side is looking all right. They are the favourites by 9 with the algorithm and by 2 with the bookies. So that looks like it could be one of the games of the round. It's a shame that Potter is not available for the Tars because he is another one of their exciting wingers, but he is injured. Then on to the Saturday games. You got the afternoon one, the Highlanders hosting the Force. I feel like the Force were a little bit of a surprise package last week because they came to town all the way from Perth, 6-day turnaround, and flogged Moana. So, yeah, they've got their tails up after that week, win on New Zealand soil. And for the Highlanders, after that opening round win over the Crusaders, it's been 2 losses on the bounce for them. So, yeah, there'll be some disappointment. And then Jamie Joseph's just missed out on the All Blacks coaching job, so they'll be looking to cheer the boss up. with a win at home. Angus Ta'ava was back from some pretty horrendous family news with the loss of a child. But in terms of his rugby stuff, fingers crossed he goes well. Oliver Haig is up from the bench, likewise Lasanga in the Lucy. So there's a bit of rotation going on from Jamie Joseph boys. And Nicola Broughton's going to get his, I think, first match of the season at number 8. So there's a few changes in that forward pack. The back line is looking pretty stable. And Tawhatawha Nawai, speaking to guys who are worth the price of admission, still busting tackles for fun. I think he's top in Super Rugby for broken tackles thus far this season. For the Force, Paenga Mosa of the Wallaby. He's back in at hooker after missing out last week. And then Champion de Krebney, who got his Wallabies debut. Remember that Lions tour last year? He is back after missing the first few rounds on the blind side, which means Jeremy Williams switches back to his more familiar second row spot. And Argentine international Molina drops to the bench for this one. You've seen a lot of carries from Ikuasi at number 8 for the Force. And Ben Donaldson's the top point scorer in Super Rugby thus far. So fingers crossed they can put in a good effort down in Dunedin. But they are underdogs. 11 points say the Algo. And 9 points say the Bookies. The end of the game I'm probably going to take my kids to. It might be a bit of a disappointing one. But they'll be more interested in the hot chips, I'm sure. Blues up against the Crusaders. I say that, my son will watch the game. My daughter, she'll be nagging me for hot chips. But hopefully they have a good time. I'm not that optimistic because the Blues, we're 1-2. And the Crusaders are also 1-2. But yeah, our one was against the Force. We've lost to both New Zealand teams that we only played one New Zealand team. We lost to both kind of top of the table teams, the Chiefs and the Brumbies. Admittedly, the effort against the Brumbies was a decent one last week. But they still managed a way to just not hang on from a winning position. Tu'ungafasi was getting pinged all day at scrum time. They'll need him to be better. At loose head, Josh Berry is there. At lock this week, he's up from the bench. And Papali'i has been tackling the house down. He's the second top New Zealand tackler in Super Rugby thus far this season. The top guy plays for the Crusaders, but there's only 2 tackles in it. We'll get to him in a second. Bodie is back on the bench after missing out the first few rounds. Peter Feta is still starting, but undoubtedly, Bodie comes on at some point, and either Peter Feta moves or Bodie just a straight swap for Stephen. We'll kind of have to wait and see. Cody Vise on the right wing this week with the absence of Cole Forbes with an ankle injury. He was impressive from the bench last week, so fingers crossed he can do something similar. The Crusaders, their top tackler for New Zealand players, is Ethan Blackadder. It's good to see him get a run of games fit. He'll be looking to shut down the Blues attack. Cody Taylor's back fit, and George Bauer's going to have to start at loose head with Tamaiti Williams being suspended. Taha Kemara switching to 15 with Rehana at 10. Will Jordan, he's having to be rested this week with the All Blacks rest policy. That's one bit of good news because he's been in scintillating form from a Blues perspective. But yeah, this one is predicted to be tight. Interestingly, the Algo has the Blues as favourites, which I'm not comfortable about, by 5. But the bookies have got it basically half a point to the Crusaders, so kind of more or less at evens. With what the Crusaders did to the Chiefs last week, my gut says the Crusaders should win that one, but we will see. And then the last one on Saturday, Brumbies hosting the Reds, the recent times 2 top Aussie teams. Brumbies are 3-0, the only team with that record in Super Rugby. Yeah, and Stephen Larkham, who's just signed a contract extension with the Brumbies, is keeping things remarkably stable. Rob Valentini is having to be rested, so Tualima comes in at 6. Otherwise, she's pretty steady as she goes. Reimer's been a demon from the bench. And Charlie Cale's been the absolute revelation this season, now that he's back fit. 5 tries, and he's literally Super Rugby's top tackler. I think he's top try scorer and top tackler. That doesn't happen very often. So, pretty good looking Brumbies squad. The Reds, likewise, fairly stable. Dalgunu is going to get a start on the left wing. Isaac Henry's at 12. And Josh Nasser is replacing Matty Fassler, who's out. Hunter Paisami is likewise out, but they have kept things remarkably stable too. They are favourites, the Brumbies. 10 points, says the Algo. 6 points, say the bookies. So yeah, there's a bunch of games which look to be fairly even on paper anyway. barring the Chiefs and Moana one, which is predicted to be a bit of a blowout. But yeah, we'll see. If you see me at the Blues game against the Crusaders, come and say hello. Fingers crossed the Blues can put in a good shift. But as I said, I'm being a little bit pessimistic because I feel like our record against the Crusaders, not great. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. Hopefully it's a good round. Subscribe to the channel for some more Super Rugby chat. And I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.